Hey guys, welcome to another episode where we're going to feature a game between Discard Aggro, as you can see, and Zoe Diana Invoke Atrocity, which we've seen several times. And this is going to be, it's going to get, there's a lot of things to take note of. I'm going to try to really explain them in a way that focuses on the things you should actually apply and understand in terms of the way you approach the situation. So here, obviously, you pass turn 1, and then we go into turn 2. And so I want you to you can take a moment to think about what you would do in this position, but whatever. It's obviously you're gonna play Battlecaster, so we can play Battlecaster first and then think about it, and then take a second step. So now here our opponent plays Duskbringer, and now this changes things a bit, because originally if we were to discard the Flame Chompers, we could attack for 2 damage, and kill the Zoe for free. But now it's not so good, because now we have to give up the Battlecaster. The Discard Aggro is a deck where half of the deck is all about going wide. That's kind of like most of the point of the discard effect, except for Vision, which is part of the other half of the deck, which is about taking advantage of going wide. So going wide comes from things like Flame Chomper's Jury Rig, which can be played extremely cheaply, even at burst speed, because of the discard mechanic, and also you've got House Spiders, and then the other half of your deck comes from cards like crowd favorite Battlecaster Vision, which benefits from going wide. And then finally we've got the champions and Experimenter to give you a little bit of that extra value and long-term efficacy that will allow you to deal actually the full 20 damage you're going to need. So what happens is you want to preserve your board, especially in the first few turns, so that you get a bit more explosive attacks on the turns 4 to 7. And throwing away your Battlecaster for Duskbringer just so that you can trade the Flame Chompers in is terrible. It's not even a good rummage. Next turn it was suggested that you get excited that Zoe, discard the Flame Chomper, so you get rid of the Zoe safely, you preserve all of your board, and then you can work from there. So it's really important to actually build up your board. So this rummage is really weak. Especially, and the attack is even worse. If you can establish an advantage on the board, then what happens is that your opponent is going to naturally take trades rather than but where they expend resources to block damage and kill your scary units. Your Battlecasters are scary. They want to get rid of your Battlecasters. Yes, you don't like their Zoe, but they don't like your Battlecaster. So you want to force them to pay resources to get rid of your units rather than the other way around, especially as an aggro deck. Now from this position, you take a look. You notice that right now we have 1 mana. We don't want to discard any of the cards in our hand, but because we have our only visible turn 4 play right now is Crowd Favorite, where we don't need the spell mana, we should definitely play the Pearl Cannon right now, just so you have something a little more promising. So you have some promising future prospects. And also, for this video, because I'm not a discard aggro player, or really an aggro player at all, I consulted Mo for this analysis, where he contributed a lot to the discard aggro perspective, what you should do. And there were several moments where I'm pretty much going to be presenting his opinion. I did agree with him. They made a lot of sense to me. I wasn't sure what exactly the line was. I just felt like the played line was off, and he kind of explained to me what he would do, and I thought it definitely made a lot of sense. So yeah, here you definitely Poro Cannon, and it has to be the Get Excited, because you want to keep the Experimenter, and you want to keep the Crowd Favor for your turn 4. So now that you top deck Draven, you should definitely go for Draven over Crowd Favor, because the thing about Crowd Favor is that, yes, it was your only play, so you should set it up so that you have something to play turn 4. But now the thing is that they just play Spacey Sketcher. Equinox is an instant pick for them precisely because of our Crowd Favor. So what we should do is, while we set up our Crowd Favor, we shouldn't be over eager to play Crowd Favor. Now that we have Draven, we instantly play Draven. Going wide is always better, especially with Battlecaster and Poros. We get 4 elusive damage. We get Draven, which has quick attack. Everything is just better. It just makes sense. But if we top deck something worse, we would definitely play the Crowd Favorite. I'll just move forward a bit. Our opponent plays Weasel. We play Draven. and we attack. So you definitely don't want to play the axe this turn. So I actually really like this challenger, because if you challenger anything else and they block one of your poros, you're probably it's just going to be a bad trade, and you don't want to use your axe this turn. You want to wait until you get another axe from the Draven. But you know, you just don't want to discard these cards. So here, so for example, look, see, because you know we're threatening damage. If health was an infinite resource, they would never take that block because it wouldn't be a threat. But because we're an aggro deck, we're pressuring their health, they have to take shitty blocks. So, and that's overall the goal you should be working towards, and you shouldn't be trading off your Battlecaster for a 2/1 just to challenger their 1/1. Just threaten enough damage so that they block with Zoe on their own, or in that scenario, just use your Get Excited instead, because your Battlecaster is actually more valuable than your Get Excited. So here they just play Super Cool Star Chart and play Equinox. So what this tells us is that they don't already have an Equinox from their previous invokes. Actually, they just played Weasel, and this was the first invoke since then. So actually, never mind. From the Solari Priestess, they could have got Golden Sister. So we should consider that possibility for next turn when deciding our turn 6 play. And so what happens here is, if you take a close look, our opponent plays the gem and on the Weasel. The reason being so that we can't just axe our other axe and then block the Weasel. But the other thing is that we go for axe on Vision, allowing us to take this trade. And what happens is that now we don't even have a good target for our Experimenter. We want the deal 3 damage to be relevant. We don't want to be wasting our Experimenter just to kill a Solari Priestess, and then we end up with a terrible situation after, where if they play Golden Priestess or Golden Sisters or something like another Zoe or whatever, we just want to be able to get something out of it, and we top deck something better. So Crowd Favorite is a much better turn 6 than Open Experimenter. So what we should do is we should open attack, and the reason is because if we play Crowd Favorite and they have something decent to deal with it, you know, let's say they play a 3-drop and then hush our Crowd Favorite, they get good blocks. We can't play Experimenter after. So what we should do is we should open attack, as suggested by Mo, get 6 damage for free, and then either Crowd Favorite or Experimenter, whatever they develop, depending on whether or not it's threatening. And if it's not too threatening, but it's of relevant value, we play Crowd Favorite first and then Experimenter next turn. But instead, we pre-commit the axe because, you know, we choose the Experimenter. There's no reason not to axe if you Experimenter. And so we end up shooting this very pathetic Solari Priestess. But if they had a Golden Sisters, they would be able to block our Experimenter and our Poro. We would deal 3 damage, and then our board would not be particularly scary. If we draw weak things, they can easily recover in terms of tempo and on the board, and not be too scared for their life total. Instead, here, they take these blocks. We actually end up dealing all 10 damage, and they just go for Star Shaping. This is not all that impressive, you know. Their curve is obviously kind of weak, but they are at 11, and if they can clear our board, then it does get a lot better for them very quickly, because our aggression is not scary enough right now, depending on what their hand is. So right in this position, we should immediately play Jinx. This play was entirely suggested by Mo, but it makes a lot of sense. So if we play Jinx and they play, say, a Challenger, we can axe a 2-drop and then play Zonite Urchin on our other 2-drop and allow us to instantly level Jinx, draw a card, and if that card is cheap, we can also play that card and instantly get a Rocket this turn. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is they use something like Meteor Shower or Comet on our Jinx, and then we just develop a really good board with something like Battlecaster plus Zonite Urchin, or even House Spider plus Zonite Urchin, and play Battlecaster next turn. So everything works out great. So if you just slam Jinx and then, and also if they you know, do, I don't know, what could they do? I think those are the only 2 scenarios actually. What Yeah, so if they play something slow, like a challenger, before trying to kill the Jinx, we can just level it up and draw a card. And then if they try to kill it right away, we just develop our board with the rest of our mana, because they would have to pay all of their mana to do that. And now instead here, here they developed the Zonite Urchin, which is the reason being they want them to attack, and then we play Jinx and use Axe on whatever we top deck. But the problem is, now if they set it up in a way where we don't level our Jinx, then this is we just gave up our Arena Battlecaster for nothing. You should, rather than that, you can just discard your Axe, and just play Arena Battlecaster after they attack or something like that. What happens is this exact line is actually ended up being in the absolute worst case scenario, where they actually prevented them from leveling Jinx, because what happens is so if you take a look here, they have a gem, and right now, basically they said if we have Jinx, we can play Jinx and axe our other card to do it. So instead of gemming the Diana and killing the Draven, we'll gem the Serpent and kill the Draven to force us to get another axe in exchange for giving Diana one attack. And this means that we won't level the Jinx. And then this just turns into, I mean, you can see for yourself, right? Now we don't have a level Jinx on the board. We discarded our Battlecaster. We don't have a scary attack. They have 11 health. And here, there's another mistake. So if you take a look here, there is 12 damage. You saw it from the eye, but if you missed it, you can count. It's 12 damage. When you have an attack with lethal, wait until they block. It is terrible practice to preemptively use your combat tricks when you have lethal. Like, the only reason you would do it is to set up lethal and force them to block in a situation where you really need them to block and lose their units. But this is just terrible. I mean, this doesn't. There's just no reason to do this. So they also lost 1 damage, because this attack went on the second highest attack unit, and when they block the highest attack units, this axe damage becomes irrelevant. So they lost 1 damage by playing preemptively for no reason. And then now there is no Jinx, preventing the extra draw next turn. And the thing about card games is that if you have only 1 card, there is no flexibility at all. Even if you have 2 cards, right? If you have like Jinx plus I don't know, any other card, it means that you could get a rocket. But because you have nothing, there's no flexibility. You can only play 1 card. There's no tricks. It's either Mystic Shot or it's not, basically. And so, because it's not Mystic Shot, this game is they end up losing to Atrocity. Wait, I accidentally went to the left. Alright, so as you can see, they end up losing to the Atrocity. So, to put it another way, what I want you to take away is understand your game plan, right? And the thing about VODs is that they're valuable because a lot of the time, the most costly blunders are the earliest blunders. The latest blunders are the most memorable ones, which is why you don't usually catch the more important blunders until you actually watch the game again. And so in this scenario, the earliest blunder would be to play the rummage, essentially, and that's maybe the other blunders cost the win rate a little bit more, but the thing is that's a fundamental mistake. It's a wrong approach to the matchup and the game that you're playing. You should be focusing on going wide and forcing your opponent to react to you, not the other way around. Especially as an aggro deck, you naturally generate value, tempo, pressure. Your opponent has to make worse, weaker, long-term plays because they're going to be the ones reacting. So that's what I want you to take away. But there were definitely several moments. The Jinx play is a bit niche. It's complicated. You have to understand nuances. But this is more fundamental, easy to remember, and easy to apply in whatever decks you play. If you've watched several episodes, and you should notice these situations where where people end up on the back foot, and then it gets worse and worse until it culminates in a final misplay, or even they're just so behind it doesn't matter, right? If you think about it from like a sports perspective, if your opponent scores 1 point in the first 5 minutes, you're just a point down, and you have to be the one equalizing. If you maintain it at equality or even make a nice play and is 1-0, the rest of the game becomes easier for you in whatever game it is. So the earliest blunders are the most costly ones, and that's why going back and actually looking at it is important, rather than just attributing things to, oh yeah, I blundered on like turn 8, or oh yeah, I just forgot about that, or maybe just that was unlucky, right? You miss these things. So that's one of the reasons I think these are important. So thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, you are an excellent viewer. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. I do need some more games to submit it, but anyways, this has been pretty long now, so see you guys next time.